Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated. There's an ITV presenter that seems to have got himself into some hot water by posting about Sharia law on X, formerly Twitter. Now this particular pleb is Adil Ray, and he was hauled in by the bosses recently to face a crisis talks after posting in support of Sharia courts or Sharia law in the United Kingdom, by the sounds of it, and over in the United States as well. Well, that's the implication because he's British, and he was praising the election of the Muslim mayor in New York City recently. So we're going to get into that in a minute or two. But first of all, let's just remind ourselves he had the audacity to question one of our veterans recently on ITV. So we're going to play this clip first of all to refresh our memories.
What does Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? A country today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though?
Well,
He has the audacity to question our veteran. What do you mean by that? Trying to lay a gotcha trap in my particular view. This is the guy that's advocating for Sharia, not necessarily in the United Kingdom. I may have misspoke earlier, but he's saying that it may not be a bad thing if it's implemented over in New York City. I've got major issues with this, and it's not just about the religion of peace, as they call it. I'm going to get into the implications of the tweet in a moment or two. But we'll leave that clip there first of all. As I previously stated, if you know any veterans, pay them some attention this weekend, and I'll thank them if you know any. This is the tweet, and we're going to dissect it because it's quite revealing. This guy, by the way, Adil Ray, I think his name is, or Adil Ray, not Aldi, that's a supermarket. His dad's from Pakistan and his mum is from Kenyan descent, and he was born in the United Kingdom. So he himself is a British citizen. He himself is of mixed Pakistani and Kenyan descent, and he is a product of empire. Again, our old friend, the 1948 British Nationality Act, is who we need to thank for this. This is the post. Okay. Some may say Mamdani, that's the elected New York mayor, may implement Sharia law. He might. The heart of Sharia is social justice, welfare, fairness, charity and cohesion. Most Muslim countries operate a hybrid of Sharia and civil law, are slowly reforming and abandoning unethical practices despite the West's portrayal. Alright, so there's a couple of things to unpack here first of all. Adil Ray was born in the West. By this tweet, he doesn't view himself as Western, because he's referring to the West in the third person as the other. That's the tell here in this tweet, first of all. He himself may hold a British passport, but he himself doesn't view himself as Western. That's alarming. If he is the beacon of multiculturalism, if he is the beacon of integration, of assimilation, why does he think himself as a part or other than the broader Western world? That's the first thing you need to think about. The second thing is, he says the heart of Sharia is social justice, welfare, fairness, charity and cohesion, and most Muslim countries operate a hybrid. Is he on about the Muslim countries that have basically outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood and outlawed the extremist factions of Islam? But the West hasn't done that. Alright? So when you think of the UAE, when you think of Qatar, when you think of, I think even Saudi, the very, very extremist elements of the religion of peace, they have a zero tolerance approach to that sort of political Islam in those countries. And all of these people, that's about a quarter of the over 1 billion Muslims, have that radical interpretation of Islam. So while he may have a point, that some Muslim majority countries may be reforming Sharia law, alright? That's not the entire Muslim population, let's be very specific. And the extremist elements we have tolerated in the West, and even the assimilated Muslims, like this guy, is referring to himself as he's othering himself from Western civilization and Western culture. So the cultural baggage, even though he was born in Britain, is with him. He doesn't see himself as British, he sees himself as being transplanted into Britain. This is the issue with the tweet, or this is the issue I've got with the tweet. It's not even saying, I wouldn't even say he's advocating directly for Sharia. He's basically running cover for the religion of peace, and he's running cover for Sharia, maybe in America. But the framing is the tell, and this is what I'm calling out, alright. He sees himself as non-Western, he sees himself as Muslim first, and he's running cover for his religion on TV. I am a Christian, I am a Protestant. I would never be running cover if there was abhorrent practices within my religion, alright? I wouldn't do that. My first allegiance is to the country, my first allegiance is to Britain, my first allegiance is to make sure that we actually have a decent country to hand down. That's my allegiance. My religion is an important part of who I am, but it doesn't define who I am. I don't need anybody else to believe in my religion, and my religion doesn't dictate my principles. It's basically a moral framework. That's the way I frame my religion. It's not the core of my being, but many Muslims don't feel that way, alright? And this is the prime example of it. And our politicians are blind. Well, my politician isn't. Sarah Poachin, my MP, she's not blind to it. She brought Sharia up in the House of Commons recently. The reply from the minister on the government benches is sickening. And again, I'll get into this before I shut up.
Does the new Secretary of State for Justice recognise Sharia law and Sharia courts in the United Kingdom? Yes or no?
Sharia law forms no part of the law of England and Wales, but in common with Christian, Jewish and other courts of faith where people choose to put themselves before those councils, that's part of the religious tolerance that is an important British value.
Alright, I've got issues with that as well. If there was a Christian court, either a Catholic or a Protestant court, that was forcing women to dress conservatively, that would be a issue if it was framed that particular way, alright? It'd be an issue because it's coercion. Now, if it was the white man's religion, either Protestants or Presbyterian or Catholicism was doing that, you know damn well the government would come down on it like a ton of bricks. But if it's a minority religion, currently like the religion of peace, mainly because they don't speak English, they speak in Arabic or Punjab or other tongues essentially, and we don't translate. They could be saying anything and anything and we don't know. And the police and the government turn a blind eye basically for the sake of community tensions to help social cohesion. This is the issue. Minority religions are put on a pedestal and the majority culture needs to adhere to their cultural norms. So when our soldiers saying we shouldn't have bothered, maybe that's what it's referring to. But the biggest tell, as I say, the crisis talks that ITV are having with their presenters, as I say, my issue is not necessarily the Sharia part that is advocating for that. My issue is the broader context that he doesn't see himself as Western, he doesn't see himself as British, and he's running cover for a backward religion. These are my concerns. So I'm going to leave that one here. Now, if you like this video, and you think I'm onto something with this, you let me know. Do you think ITV should sack this guy? Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next video. You have a good day. Thank you for watching.